Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. It is Sharla Kornegay coming live to you with another Forever Friends Academy episode. How are you guys doing? I hope the weekend has been good to you so far. We are in Sunday. I know for some, maybe you guys are back into, if you have kids, in the rhythm of school. So hopefully, if tomorrow's your kids' first day of school, hopefully they have a good one. But if not, like us where we are, where we live, I think most schools are starting next week. So if you are like me, you are enjoying the last bit of summer for this last week. So let me introduce myself just in case someone new is on here, which I would absolutely love. My name is Sharla Kornegay. I'm an author, a recording artist, creator of Interact Coaching, as well as Forever Friends Academy, which is my subscription-based membership group coaching. We talk about all relationship topics, and my main mission is to help people weed out all their lazy loving, give them some foundational, fundamental, godly principles to build their relationships on, to be able to weather through the various transformations and seasons that relationships most definitely go through. I coach women, men, couples alike. And so hopefully, you stumbled upon my little corner, and hopefully you'll hear something that will resonate with you. If you do, please like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Forever Friends Academy. All right, it takes nothing, and it's I would appreciate it, because if you like any of the material, it's great if you can spread it to other people, so content like this can be circulated. All right, so that is enough about me. Oh, wait. If you want to dive into any of my music on stage, I go by Sharla K. That's Sharla space K, and peruse my music catalog. Hopefully you'll find some songs that you like. I am getting through, and I'll be very transparent with you guys, and my Auntie Sharon, if you see this, I love you. She touched me this morning because I released like a little snippet. I used to go live often, pretty much from, I think it was actually before the pandemic. My husband Ben and I, we started going, I would perform live a lot, and do acoustic versions of songs, some of my original material, as well as cover songs. And, we were kind of ahead of the wave, or ahead of the time, because a lot of people started doing that once, the pandemic hit. And so I haven't done it in a while. I did start releasing more original music, but I posted like a little snippet from an old live performance that I did on my Instagram, and then I saw that she posted on my Facebook page that, on her page, this is my niece, and that her voice comforts my soul, and I so needed to hear that. I don't know if there's any creatives watching right now, but when you feel like you're in I can't say I don't feel like I'm in a creative rut, because I have been writing new material, and I have lots of music and material to work with. So I don't feel in that way creatively, but to like get on, whether to record or to sing, I think that's where, I feel like I gotta break out. Break out where I feel like I'm a little stagnant. So when I saw her post saying that, my voice like comfort her soul, it gave me such an inspirational boost. I don't know if any other creatives go through that. So thank you, Auntie Sharon. I'm giving you your flowers, because you really helped me. You didn't even know, right? People don't even know what you might be going through or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to definitely use her as some rocket jets for me, a rocket fuel, to get back into, recording my music and hopefully getting some live performances to you guys. So nonetheless, I don't know why I went all the way there, but I wanted to give her flowers just in case she sees this. Oh my goodness, I see my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sissy on here. Hey, beautiful. Oh my gosh, what a pleasant surprise. Hey, Emily, beautiful Emily. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. So you guys didn't miss anything. I actually just introduced myself and was telling a story about a post that really touched me today that someone wrote about me. So you didn't miss anything. I'm going to start out, as I usually do, at the top of the podcast with a quote. You guys know, I'm sure, the drill now. Anybody who has been here. I'm going to do a quote, and this is, Sunday relationship scenario. So I'm going to throw out a scenario to you guys. You guys let me know what your thoughts are on it, and hopefully we can pull some principles out of it. And, it's great because we're not in it, so we don't have to get compromised. So I'll let me know what your thoughts on that. So nonetheless, let me give you the quote for tonight. I screenshot because I didn't want to mess it up. It's not from me. So, I don't want to mess up the person who actually took time to articulate it in the specific way that they felt the message would come across the best way. So this is from C.S. Lewis, which I'm sure many of you guys probably know, right? Who that is. So the quote goes like this: "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." Let me say it again. Quote from C.S. Lewis: "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." You guys know the drill. What are your thoughts? Numero uno. Do you feel like that is a truthful statement? There is truth and droplets, gems of wisdom that you can extrapolate from that quote. And also, do you think it's a quote that we can specifically put towards our relationships that will serve it, that will help, create an environment, atmosphere for growth, continual growth, right? Which is what we want. So that is the quote for tonight. I'll say it one more time. One more time again. One more time again. The quote is from C.S. Lewis, and it goes like this: "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." All right? So that's the quote for tonight's folks. What are your thoughts? Do you like it? Do you agree? I thought it was great. Oh my goodness. You know what? I am getting surprised by all these beautiful, lovely ladies tonight. Is that Dana? How are you, lovely? Oh my goodness. What a nice surprise. I got all my beautiful ladies in here tonight. I appreciate you guys. All right, so what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this quote? And I thought it was a good quote coming off of the last podcast that we did, because we talked about dealing with anxiety in relationships. And one of the tips that I gave on that podcast of dealing with anxiety was I actually said another quote from a podcast that I don't know if I want to call it a podcast. It's a podcast? I don't know. But he basically goes around and interviews older people. And I love it because I don't know if it's in other, cultures and when you go to other countries, but I do feel like America sometimes puts aside the elderly. And sometimes I don't think our culture nurtures the idea that we can get wisdom from those who have a lot of life experience. And so I love the show that he has because he goes around and he interviews like people who are in their 80s, 90s, etc. And he basically asks them about their life and asks them what advice would they give younger people and what are things that they worried about or were concerned about, and they realize as they got older they shouldn't have, etc. And one of the quotes and statements that one of the older people made was that if you live in the past, you're depressed. If you live in the future, right, you're anxious. But if you live in the present, then you're at peace. And so I thought this quote that I said today by C.S. Lewis that said you can't change, you can't start over, or change the beginning, but you can start from where you are right now and change the ending, right? So let me go back and say it. You see me paraphrasing it already. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So I thought those two quotes kind of like, you know, they're very interconnected. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna present that to my folks tonight. um, and so I think they're both true, right? I think they're both true. And I definitely, I think it's something that you can apply to relationships. And it's so important because we go through so many changes and transformations in relationships. And, you know, anybody who's been married or been in a long-term relationship knows how challenging it can be just for you to process your own changes individually, you know, that's going, you know, that you're experiencing. And then to have to do that and then also try to remain in harmony with your partner can be a very challenging, you know, thing at times. And I think it becomes hard when we do go through the different transformations if we offend each other, which we do oftentimes, sometimes not even knowing, right? Just because maybe we just handle things differently or we interpret things differently. And so oftentimes offense is made and you don't even know, you know, and sometimes offense is made and you do know because you were in a mood, you were in a mode and you were angry and you said something that maybe you shouldn't have said. And it's, I think the challenge is, okay, how do we, you know, basically let it roll off of us like water where we can still continue to kind of flow with each other and go in the same direction, even while we're going through our own different transformations, which then, you know, makes the relationship, you know, change in a certain way and evolve in a certain way. So, yeah, I love the quote. And I think, you know, that's one of the things that my husband and I, our dynamic, you know, he always says I'm like a go with the flow type person, which I am. For the most part, I am. Unless it's something like fundamental, then it's like I'm not. You're not moving me. I'm not moving. But I'm very like go with the flow. Like, you know, he asks me where you want to go on a vacation. What do you want to eat? I'm just there's not too many things where I'm like no, I want it this way. And so I think it works. And I don't think he's like that too. He's also very go with the flow, but I think he's also a little bit more very, you know, concrete on certain things than I am. So it works really well for us. But even in that type of dynamic where the opposites kind of helped complement in a certain way, there's still moments, right, where offense is made and you still have to be like, you know, learn how to make it just kind of roll off of you. I can't remember what I was watching. I was watching something. Oh, now I remember. I was watching a movie with my oldest daughter. I'm sure, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. The Woman King. I had wanted to watch it when it first came out, and we just had like a mommy and daughter night where we were watching the movie. And in the movie, the warriors would put like, you know, all of this like lube. I don't know if it's Vaseline. I don't know, some kind of oil on, you know, their body so that when they would engage and you know and go into combat and war with the other tribes, then it was hard for them to like grip them, you know, and be able to, you know, basically hold them to be able to kind of like pin them down. And it's making me think of what we're talking about now because that's kind of like what we need to do when we're dealing with if there are things hurtful things that have happened, you know, or offense that has occurred in the relationship, even in the midst of kind of like, of course, communicating and talking about it, I think it's great to have a mentality of where it's kind of like, okay, we're going to have this loop here so that it rolls right off of us so that we're not stuck in the same place. And on the last podcast we were on, when I was on with you guys, I was telling the participants who were there that sometimes, you know, we have this beautiful script of our life. And when offense happens, then it's like we get just stuck on the same one scene. And it just keeps replaying and replaying and replaying and replaying. And then, right, the movie it is continuing on, but we're just stuck there, you know? So I love the quote. And I got something, oh my goodness, now Maya's in here. Oh, I just feel the love from all of you guys in here. I got my sister-in-law in here. I got Dana, Maya. Oh my goodness. Imagine Van Gogh. Thank you for joining. All right. So all I did was put out a quote. Feel free, anyone who wants to chime in. Today is Relationship Sunday Scenario. So I'm going to give you guys a scenario and let me know your thoughts. But the quote that I put out is from C.S. Lewis. And the quote goes like this: you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. You can't, right? Go back and change the beginning, but you can start from where you are and change the ending. So feel free, chime in. Do you think it's a truthful quote? Do you think it's something that is good for you to implement in your relationships? And yeah. So that's it so far. But I'm going to get into the scenario tonight, guys. Let me know what your thoughts on this one. On this one is. All right, so the scenario for tonight. And I haven't been using this a lot, but we did do one scenario that was somewhat similar to this. It was about someone, basically looking at someone's social media page. And we've talked about this before, that sometimes offers another, poses another challenge in especially if you're in the dating space. But even if you're married, right? Like, you have to, at least I think, you have to be intentional and careful and prudent about what you put on social media, because not only your partner is looking at it, or a potential partner, but nowadays people, if you're looking for a job, people look at your social media. So we did do a scenario on similar to this. So this one is similar in that way, where there are two people who are getting to know each other, etc. And this scenario has to do with, let's make her she's a CEO of a consulting company, right? And so she's a coach. She definitely coaches primarily women on how to be successful in the entrepreneurship space, right? And so she's at a moment, in her life, a season in her life where she's like, okay, I have this all together. I have my, ducks in a row when it comes to my profession and how I'm thriving there. And now she wants to be with someone, she wants to have the other aspect of life, marriage, children, etc. Right? And so she has a potential person that, seems like he is wanting to get to know her and seeing where it goes. And she posts on her social media, just like that she's ready to be in a relationship and things like that. And the last slide, how you have those posts on Instagram where you can kind of like swipe, there's like multiple ones. So this is on her last slide, right? On her last slide, she puts that I don't want a man with kids because I'm the baby. I don't want a man with kids because I'm the baby. And now she explains it a little in the post, saying that, I like a man who's attentive to me. So that's what she puts. But when the gentleman sees it, for him, it's like, that's not, something that was appealing to him, something that made him necessarily want to, further get to kind of know him, because he just felt like, what do you mean? Like, you're the baby. And so when they talk about it, she just lets him know, like, oh, I just mean, I know what I want. I know what I would like to experience. And so for me, that is, and mind you, he doesn't have kids, right? And so for her, she's like, you don't have kids or anything like that. It's just a statement that I made because I know that I don't have kids, and I don't really want a man with kids, because I know that it's going to pull his attention from being able to nurture the relationship. So, she explains it further that way. And she feels like, I don't necessarily see why that would be a problem for you because you don't have kids. And for him, he just felt like, I get it. I understand the context that you're placing it in, but the fact that you say, I am the baby at the end kind of was like a turn off for me, because I am not looking for a woman who has attitude where it's like, okay, she looks at me giving her attention because she's the baby and she needs all of the attention. I'm looking for a co-pilot, someone to, build legacy in life with. All right, so that's the scenario, guys. She thinks he should understand the context that she laid it out in. It should not really be a problem because that's not their scenario at all. And clearly she's a woman who has her own entrepreneurship, her own professionalism and things going on. So even though she knows what she wants and she is not trying to necessarily settle for less in this moment, and knows that a relationship requires attention, that he should view it just as how she's explaining it to him. Or do you agree with the man and say, no, that's definitely a red flag for me? you know, um, do you, where he's like, the way that you worded it, it doesn't, for lack of better words, it's just not a good look, right? It's just not a good look. It's not something that is appealing to me. It doesn't stimulate me to want to continue, right? So let me know what your thoughts are on that. That is the scenario. And mind you, right, it's on social media, right? I always say this, like, people can snapshot it. Y'all know how it is, right? When something goes viral, like, even if I've seen celebrities do it and so many different people where you put something up, you take something down, shoot, even me. You put something up, and you're like, I don't think I should have put that up, right? But then if you're a person who's a celebrity, where people are like literally watching everything that you're doing, I've seen them take it off, but people have literally done articles and stories because they already snapshot it or they already downloaded the post, etc. So I think you definitely have to be wise about what you put out there and how it makes you perceive, to the public. So let me see. I have some answers here. All of these beautiful ladies tonight. Oh my gosh. Pammy Acosta is in here. Chastity. Absolutely love you and adore you. Thank you for popping in, love. So Maya says, so she'll never want to have any. Oh, wow. Ooh, Maya done turned it. Maya. Maya coming with the fire. She said, and he shouldn't either. Very short-sighted. Ooh, Maya came for the jugular, right? There was no room to breathe on that answer. She was like, so she'll never want to have any kids then if she's going to say it like that. And he shouldn't either. Very short-sighted. So she says she's with the man. And she says she's weird to me. I love the honesty, Maya. Oh my gosh. But you definitely came for the jugular with that one. But I love what you said. It's true, right? Like, it's showing immaturity. And I think that's what the man in the scenario is trying to say, right? And Dana said, yeah, I think that is odd too, right? Okay. Emily says, I think it's understandable to not want somebody to already have kids. Okay. So Emily's coming from a different perspective, but the I'm the baby part is giving entitlement. Okay. Yeah. So she's with y'all on that one, but she thinks it's understandable to have your own, I guess standards about that, especially if you don't have kids, to not want to date someone with kids. But the I'm the baby part is definitely giving entitlement. I 1,000% agree with you on that, Emily. And Maya says, Kale. Okay. Oh, this is Kale. This is Maya's beautiful. Well, not beautiful, handsome fiance says that wording is definitely a thing to be aware and concerned of, right? This is a man's perspective and point of view. If she wants to be the center of attention, I don't see how they can grow together. Yeah, that part. Let me read that again. That was really good. He said, that wording is definitely a thing to be aware and concerned of. If she wants to be the center of attention, I don't see how they can grow together. Very true, right? Because I think the whole point of going into a relationship is realizing you're in a certain space and energy and an understanding that it's a collective thing now. Like that I said it in a song that I wrote where it was like, okay, there's no I in team. There is me, but once you get into that relationship, you flip that me over upside down, and then it's we, right? It's so you people who are wise would listen to a person's speech to see how much they are really either receptive or open to understanding what it really takes, right? To actually grow together and have a collective vision, which is what a relationship is. Dana says, right, if she said the relationship is the baby. Ooh, y'all sound like y'all graduated from Forever Friends Academy. I like it. These these are my members on here. I love it. I'm proud. I'm proud. She said, right, if she said the relationship is the baby, that's one thing. But she said she's the baby is out of control. Yes, indeed. Right. Absolutely. Maya says she probably is trying to say, I want to be cherished without the vulnerability. Maybe, right? Maybe, Dana. You know, I mean, look at me. I'm sorry. Y'all, all of you guys aren't here at the same time, so I'm mixing up your names. Maybe, Maya. Yeah, she might be saying that, but I don't know. Like, who? See, I think this is where it's good when you have a team, like a circle that, you know, if you're going to post something, like send it to them, you know, like, do you think this is a good idea to, to post this, especially if I'm single and I'm ready to mingle and you know, I want to post this here. That would have been a nice, you know, I don't know if she has a community to do that, but that would be nice if she did, because somebody would have told her like, no, you might want to word this. Like, what do you really mean? What are you trying to say when you're saying this? Because this is not the best way to get that message across. If that's the case, Maya, right? If that's what she's saying, she wants to be cherished, but without the vulnerability. Oof, which I don't even know how you can be cherished without the vulnerability, right? Literally, things that are cherished are looked at as precious and sacred, and it's not something that you can just handle in any type of way. And I think that's a good point, though, you know, because I think, unfortunately, especially in America, I think the culture scape right now, women in America is that, I think, wanting to be cherished without the vulnerability piece, you know, and it that's the whole thing. I'm not even going to go there. Sorry, I'll change the whole direction of this conversation. I want to read some of the next statements. So Imagine Van Gogh said, I get what she's saying. She's always been the baby of the family. So she's been catered to and been the center of attention. I get it, but that seems immature. You know what's so interesting? I don't know if she's the baby of the family. That wasn't, you know, put out in the post. However, you're right. Maybe, I mean, maybe, you know, this is a well, actually, this is actually a post that I actually saw in real life, in real time, and I was like, I'm going to use this, but I kind of intertwined it with a scenario. So I actually saw someone post this in real time, real life, but I just, you know, intertwined it with, layered it with a relationship scenario so you guys can kind of, you know, we can talk about it. So, but that would be interesting. I don't know. Now it's making me want to go back to the post, and I don't know how I would ever find that out, though, if she is the baby of the family, but that would make sense. But either or, I agree with you. It does seem immature, an immature way to express how she, as Maya says, wishes to experience being loved by someone, right? So I agree. I agree. Dana says, we sure did. Maya says she probably isn't ready if she can't see how that should be concerning and clarify communication. Ooh, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. And I think, we talk about it all the time here on my podcast, about how sometimes, just as people, of course, it was the woman in this scenario, but I do think that sometimes we can think of us receiving love from someone else with a certain amount of entitlement to it. And I understand it because we, like I said, we talk about it all the time here. And the way that I have expounded upon it is that, we all are created in love. We all want to experience love. We all want to reflect love. And it's, of course, that starts with you and understanding that God made you just right, and that, everything God makes, he makes with a purpose, and that he doesn't make duplicates. So you have your own value, and that's great to know, and be able to confidently move in this world. However, understand that when you're created, you are created in purpose and to serve others. And when you extend that service to others, there will be some that will say, what you are giving me is exactly what I need. You are just right for me, right? And then there will be others that are gonna, like, no, no offense to you. I just know that this is not, I need something different for where I am. And I think, it's hard and it's challenging for people to kind of, draw the bridge from that, because you can kind of go and think, okay, well, because I'm developing this self-love and I have value within myself, to feel entitled that everyone should experience you in that way. And then when someone doesn't, then it reads as rejection rather than redirection to find the people who are just right for you. So I agree with you guys in that. Hey, Cosmo. Hey, how are you? Thank you for popping in. We are having a discussion about imaginary scenario, that a relationship scenario that I brought out today. And it's basically two people getting to know each other, but the gentleman looks at the social media page of this woman that he is potentially vetting to see if she is good for him. When he goes on her page, he sees a recent post where she says, I don't want to deal with a man with kids because I'm the baby. And so that is a red flag for him. He says that is very immature. Mind you, he doesn't have kids, but he says that's very immature. I don't really see where you and I would continue to kind of cultivate this relationship with that type of mentality that you have. And for her, she's like, well, you don't have kids, and I was just saying that I know that I want to be with someone who's going to be attentive to me. So that's what we're talking about, seeing who the other, participants on this conversation, where they lie, whether they lie with where they agree with the guy, it's a red flag, full stop, or they agree with the woman. And she has a CEO of her own business and things like that. So she's like, clearly that should show you that I'm not a person that's just saying you just have to be all about me because, I have a lot of other things going on for me. So that's what we're talking about. So feel free to chime in. Maya says, Cal said, this is the easiest scenario we had yet. I appreciate it. I did that on purpose tonight because our last conversation, you guys weren't on. But that was pretty layered. So I said tonight, I'm going to make it easy. Because I felt like our brains were going on the last podcast. We were talking about dealing with anxiety. So, that has a whole nother thing with it. So I'm glad that I met my target. Kale also said the man should have asked better questions in the scenario. Really? So he's like, if he would have asked better questions, he would have saw that coming. he would have saw that coming already, instead of taking it as face value. Appreciate it. Dana says, right, and right, he had a responsibility too. I guess so. I guess when you're getting to know someone, like I said, now it's they look at how you are, if you meet them in person. And oftentimes so many relationships start on social media, right? Like, I don't know if you guys know, I'm absolutely adore her. I love this athlete that I, just realized who she was this last Olympics. I think it's I'm probably butchering her name. I'm so sorry. Sydney McLaughlin. Oh my gosh, I'm butchering her name, but she's married now, and I absolutely love her because she's phenomenal. She at what she does. She does the 400-meter hurdles, and Laverne is her married name. Cindy McLaughlin Laverne. I don't know if I'm butchering her last name. I apologize if I am, but I came across her because she's phenomenal, and I love track and field. So I was like, just watching the highlights videos that they had of her winning the gold medal, and I came across some interviews that she did with her husband, and they were asking how they met, and she basically said he slid in the DMs to meet her, and it's so funny. It's kind of like the opposite of this scenario. She posted a picture and just put underneath attention. She just put the word attention, and she posted a picture, and I guess he came into her message and said, well, he put the picture in the post and said, you have my attention, you have my full attention. And I guess it, got the ball rolling with them talking, and then they got married very quickly. I forget how long. I can't remember exactly, but it was only months when they got engaged, and then they're married now. And so in that type of scenario, you're just meeting that person online, right? There's no I'm meeting you in person first, right? And then eventually, as they continue to talk, then he came out to visit her where she was in LA, I believe. So even in things like that, right, where it's just the social media, that's the basis of how you're getting to know the person even more so, right? What you put out there. But outside of that, if you can engage with the person, they're going to use however you engage with them in person. Of course, however, as you definitely should be seeing how that person's engaging with their family members, their friends, coworkers, etc. You want to see how consistent they are with in the circles in which they exist, and then of course social media, right? And so this scenario that I kind of took a piece of was actually a real post from a woman who is a consultant, a coach, and at least from what she presents on her page, a very successful one. And she teaches, coaches and consultants how to, make sure that their business is 6-figure and above. But you can kind of see with the type of post that she's putting out now that she's definitely shifting gears and does seem to want to have the other end of it. And that's what I appreciate about Sydney, why I love her, because I don't want to say love her, I admire her because of her, she's a believer, and then she is phenomenal at what she does. And, that takes a lot of discipline. Any of those athletes, Olympians, track runners, etc., how much, somewhat, because we don't know to the degree of discipline that they have to put in dedication, but just in knowing the whole concept that they have to wait and literally train and do all of these different races to even qualify to get to the Olympics for that one moment, right? So she's really astute in that. But what I liked about her is that she's very well-rounded, right? She didn't forsake, one area for the other, or to say because I'm this phenomenal athlete, then I don't necessarily, I don't need a man, I don't need a husband, etc., and things like that. So she's very well-rounded and grounded. And you can tell from this post that this woman seems to want to go in that direction, but with writing things like that, it's not going to, I'm sure she'll get attention, but I don't know if it'll be the right attention because of all the things that you guys said tonight, right? Of the entitlement that it shows, the immaturity that it shows, and like fundamental principle, right? Somewhere in the top 5 is that when you get into a relationship, the ego, the selfishness, all of those things, you know, have to fade away in order to work and grow together in harmony in the relationship. So definitely, and I love what Maya said, because that, I think, would be right, just jumping out of herself. It would be a question that she could, definitely reflect on. It's like, okay, you don't want to marry with kids because you're the baby, but what happens when now, right? You're stepping into motherhood, and now you have to, right, give a certain amount of energy, attention to this child. And if you talk to any mother who's had children, they will let you know that process is, woo, it is a selfless process. So yeah, I love that you said that, Maya. But yeah, I know you guys went. This must have been easy. You guys definitely went all the way in a nice way though, in on this lady, with this whole scenario. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness. I don't know how many people are still on with me, but I would love to, especially with what Maya said when she said she probably is trying to say, I want to be cherished without the vulnerability. In this case, what do you think she could have said instead of that? What do you think she could have said instead of, I don't want a man with any kids because I'm the baby? Instead of saying it in that way, what you guys clearly was like, too much entitlement, too much immaturity. She can't be the center of attention and things like that. Like, how do you think, you know, be her coach, especially for the men in here. I would love to see what your thoughts on that. How could she have worded that differently to give her, I guess that would be appealing to the right type of guy coming in. Oh my goodness, Frank's in here. Hey Frank, oh my word. You'd have went to town on this scenario. Emily says, I think she should have straight up said that she wanted to be cherished. Okay. I like that, Emily. And Imagine Van Gogh said, I want to be cherished and appreciated, right? Very simple. Right, right. If she would have just said that, right? Like, I want to be cherished and appreciated. So, I think Imagine Van Gogh is from a man's perspective. If a woman writes that on social media, that would be like, that's it, right? Do you think that wouldn't give you a red flag, right? That would mean like, okay, that just seems like a woman who states and knows what she wants? Or do you think like you don't even have to state that, and that's a statement or a conversation that you can have between, I guess a person that you meet or things like that? Or do you think there are certain statements, especially for the men in here, like, is there, just because of the nature of the scenario, are there certain statements that a woman can make that'll make you more, like, what are the statements that a woman can make on social media who wants to be in a relationship that will stimulate you? Is it things like that where she'll say, I want to be cherished and appreciated? Or are you looking for something else and you think a statement like that is more better weighted to be said in private? Like, if you guys can culture, is it something like you want to be in a relationship, so this is, what is a thing or a post or a statement that a woman could say that would stimulate a man who is, marriage minded, want to also go in that same type of direction? Or is her even making statements like, I want to be cherished and appreciated, going to even, it's making me think of I don't know if you guys have heard of this show. Hey, Edna Jimenez, how are you? Thank you for joining the podcast. You guys have heard of the show. It's called Pop the. Well, there's many of them, but there's only one that I have seen a couple of the episodes. But it's like this dating show called Pop the Balloon or Find Love. It's very interesting to me. But I'm thinking of it because on the show there was a nurse. She was a traveling nurse. And basically, the way the show goes is that you can either have men that are lining up, like maybe 10 men, or sometimes they'll have women that line up. And depending on if it's a man the men are lining up, then the women comes in, right? One single woman comes in and they tell you what they're looking for in a man and things, etc. And the men are holding balloons, and if they don't like what they said, they'll pop the balloons, or if they're not interested in her, they'll pop the balloons, but if they are, they'll keep the balloon. The whole idea is, whoever has, one man with a balloon left standing, and she chooses, out of, I guess, the people who still have the balloons. But what I was thinking about was in that episode, a traveling nurse, one of the things that she said when the host asked her, "What are you looking for in a man?" She said, "Well, I'm a submissive woman, so I'm looking for a man who I can submit to." And when she said that, like so many of the so many of the balloons popped. And in the show, whenever they do pop the balloon, they bring the lady to the gentleman, that had popped the balloon, and they ask why, like, you did have it unpopped and now it's popped, why? And one of the men said, "I know game when I see it. Like, you don't have to say, that you're looking for a man to submit to, or you want to be a submissive woman if you really are that. Like, you can just see it, the nature in the person. Like, you're not going to say it in that way." And so this is why I'm asking you guys, if you feel like it's something that if a woman is looking for to be in a relationship, is that something that is going, like, if they say what Imagine Van Gogh said, "I want to be cherished and appreciated," and you see, like consistent or multiple posts like that of her just stating that, is that something that's like, okay, yeah, she's, would stimulate you to want to look into her further? Or it's just like, okay, I don't really need for her to say that. And if that's the case, what would, what posts or type of statements can a single woman make that a gentleman looking to be married would find appealing? So I'm just curious if you guys have any answers in that way. But I appreciate the answers that I got before, as far as what she should, in your opinion, what you feel like she should have just said, instead of saying, "I don't want a man with any kids because I'm the baby," turning that immature statement into, I want to be cherished and appreciated. So I agree. That's much better for sure. Much better. Because I say it all the time here on the podcast. Like, I don't know whether it was movies, that did a doozy on a lot of us, and made it relationships. And don't get me wrong, having romance and, thoughtfulness and, as they say, chivalry in relationships is a beautiful thing. But I think when you mature and you really start to understand what relationships are about, and that you're going to have to serve a lot in that relationship, and it's really about how you're going to serve the other person, and that if two people come in the relationship committed to serve one another, then the needs get met, and we are pleasing one another, But unfortunately, sometimes we will come in with the entitlement of, "I deserve to be loved." I think I just posted on my page a couple of small post snippets back about from one of these long live episodes where we were chasing the root of the word deserve, and basically it means to serve. and to serve excitedly and zealously. And it's the idea of, right, what you deserve. You get honored because of the service that you have done. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily the way we look at it now. It's kind of like, I deserve this, I deserve that, just because I am who I am, you know? So, yeah. All right, I've got, hey, Frank, Imagine Van Gogh says, I believe that the quote or statement she used was colorful, but it may have distracted from what she actually meant. Okay, like Emily said, straight talk is often the best route. Say what you mean to say. Got you. I got you. Yeah, so it was just the end part that just made that whole that whole thing falter off from just saying I'm the baby. Okay. So pretty much just be straight up. So that's a man's perspective. Just be straight up with, you know, with whatever it is that, you know, that you mean to say. I appreciate that. Very good. No, I appreciate all of you guys' comments. They were really, really, really good. It made this conversation go very swiftly and had a lot of solid statements, I would say, in it. But I think because I see it all the time on social media, especially for, women who are looking for, a companion in love. And sometimes I'll see the things that they're posting. I'm like, oh, that is doing the opposite of what you think it is doing right now for you, And so I think, right, that's probably and I'm sure there's probably someone in the space doing that, helping people like coach them. I've seen people who do podcasts like me have people actually go up and they'll show their social media and they'll give them little tips and pointers to kind of like, curate it and put certain things there that will hopefully help them to attract a certain type of individual that they're looking for. So, but that's a great business, right? Especially with nowadays, for sure, to have someone like a coach, a social media coach, help you, I guess, make your page more appealing for the people, for a certain amount of people that you want to see, the type of gentleman or a woman that you want to attract. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Imagine Van Gogh. So that was pretty much all I have for you guys. I wanted to keep it nice and light since the last conversation. We were pretty, it was pretty layered and pretty deep. So I was like, let me just get something nice and light tonight. So I appreciate it. So that is all I have for you guys. I will leave some space if you guys have any for a Q&A, if you guys have any questions of your own to ask, and I will, try to answer it to the best of my ability. And we've got a lot of phenomenal people, if they're still in here, that also have, drop a lot of gems of wisdom. So I'll leave space for that. But while I'm waiting to see if there's any questions, any kind of relationship questions, doesn't have to be on the topic that we talked about tonight. While I'm waiting to see if there is any, definitely those of you who popped in tonight, even if you are, some of my regulars, if you enjoy the conversation, definitely go over to my YouTube channel of the same name, Forever Friends Academy, and subscribe, please. It would be helpful. Definitely like, as well as comment if you like the content you heard tonight. That could be spread. I would appreciate it. It'll help other people see it and hear it. So, and for any of the newcomers, thank you for popping in, and definitely also do the same. I usually come on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday evenings, as well as Sunday evenings. And my YouTube channel has all of the full videos if you want to check it out. So, oh, no problem, Frank. No problem. It was a nice little quick and short scenario. I think you would have liked it though. But no, not. I always love seeing you pop in, so I appreciate you. Hey, Real Mike, and how are you? So many beautiful people came in to stop in with me tonight. I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. So I'm nearing the end of the podcast now, but I'm just leaving space if there's any questions that you guys have on relationships. I'll try to answer to the best of my ability, and if not, I'll think about it and come back on for an answer for you guys. But pretty much wrapping up tonight, I just offered a quote at the top of the podcast for those who came in late from C.S. Lewis, and the quote was, let me get it so I don't mess it up because I sure can. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. And we talked about it in relationships, that it's good to have that as a mindset in your relationship, because Lord knows there will be times where you offend each other, right? Without even knowing it. And sometimes hurt each other and know it, right? Because whether you were angry, in a mode, etc., but to understand that we can't, right, go back and change the beginning, but wherever we are, we can start from there and change, right, the ending. So having that as a mind state, that's good. That means that we can stay in the present and see what's going on right now, and what we can work with, and how we can, right, mend the differences. And then we just had a scenario where a lady put on a post that I don't want a man with any kids because I'm the baby. And I basically just asked the participants, who they agreed with. She felt like she was just letting it be known that she wants someone who will be nurturing and attentive to her and the relationship. And the gentleman who was interested in her felt like that was a red flag. And seemed very selfish, very immature, and it did not make him want to, try to even get to know her further. So it seems like unanimously everybody agreed with the gentleman, that part where she says, I'm the baby, was definitely showing some entitlement, showing some immaturity, and it did not convey the message really, greatly that she was trying to convey. So the real Mike, can I DM you? Oh, yes, absolutely. Anybody on here, if you don't feel like typing out the question here, feel free to DM me the question. Absolutely. I used to do that all the time when I came on. People would just DM me the question, and then I would just read the question anonymously on the podcast, and then, we talk about it and get an answer from there. So definitely do that. Imagine Van Gogh says, yes, I believe the quote is truthful. With anything, what's done is done for sure. And all you can do is move forward. Lamenting and dwelling upon the past can keep you stuck. Yeah, that was literally our whole last podcast, where I said another quote that I saw on a podcast that I watch, where it was an elderly gentleman. I think he was like 80 something. And he said his advice for young people is that if you live in the past, you're depressed. If you live in the future, you're anxious. But if you live in the present, you're at peace. So I totally agree with you on that. Absolutely. And Frank said she's the baby until she has a baby. That was a red flag. That's how I knew Frank. That was definitely a red flag, right? And, the thing is, it's like I understand, like, Imagine Van Gogh said he understood, and he felt it was colorful in the way that she kind of stated it. And I get the point, because I talk to, couples all the time, especially those who have been married a long time and that do have babies. Anybody who's had children, that, if you, how can I say it? The children can, trying to nurture and care for the children can get kind of in the way of the couple nurturing and caring for each other. And so I understand it in that light, because my husband and I, we always say they came after us, so it's got to be us. And then, right? And so I appreciate that, but that's not me saying I'm the baby, right? Or him saying he's the baby. No, we know the baby is the baby, but we do want to stay committed in creating a system where we're getting strength from each other and we're nurturing our relationship first and foremost, because then the children will benefit from that environment, right? And then we'll have the right type of energy to basically cultivate the children. So I understand it in that light, but definitely the way that she kind of put it and typed it out was definitely seemed more for a selfish entitlement, for sure. Absolutely. So yeah. Yes, indeed. All right. So I don't see, let me just double check to make sure I'm not missing anybody who has a question on here. Let me see, make sure. He said that's such, the real Mike Ant said, that's such a dated trope, her being the baby. Modern women want to be treated as equals, not babies. Ooh, oh, you are. Oh, that is a whole, I feel like if I dive into that, I'll be on here for a whole nother hour. Wow, that statement, that's such a dated trope. Her being the baby, modern women want to be treated as equals, not babies. LOL. You're right. That's a whole right, Dana. You see me? I'm like, let me breathe off of that for a second. Do I even want to, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, next time for sure. Because I'm like, I'll be on here for a whole hour and a half, maybe 2 hours with that one. But I am definitely going to, you know what? Let me make sure I screenshot that. Because I'm definitely going to bring that up because there's all kind of discussion around that, right? Like, if that is really true, like, do modern women want to be treated as equals or only when it's beneficial to them? And when it comes to like attention and affection, not so much, right? Like, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation we'll have another time. But I appreciate that comment. I appreciate that comment. But I love that perspective that you brought in, Real Mike Ann, right? Like, right, that's a dated trope, right? Her being the baby. If you're a modern woman, you want to be treated like you're equal. Then how come you want to be the baby and get all this attention, right? Ooh, woo, child. Yeah, we're gonna have to have a part two. That's a whole nother part two to that one because that just brought in a whole nother perspective, right? Oh my goodness. Okay, so definitely, I will definitely talk about that next time. But I don't see any other questions, so I'm gonna let you lovely folks have a good night and get some rest, maybe, or just wind down still your night and have a good night. But I appreciate all of you guys. My goodness, this show was so pleasant for me because I had my sister in here, Janeka, and then I had Dana, Maya, all at the same time, Nikhil, a lot of my Forever Friends members. Frank, as always, love when you pop in because I always know you are going to set it off in a good way. And the real Mike and all of you guys, Imagine Van Gogh, all of you guys' feedback was so really, really good. So I'm sorry if I missed anybody's name, but thank you guys for popping in. As always, you can be anywhere. So I appreciate your time and energy in coming here. So I will be back on not this Thursday because I won't be available, but I will be back on Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you liked it, share it, tell people. I know this singer / author, etc. And she talks about relationship topics, and I thought it was interesting. Check it out. This is when she comes on, and definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. It'll be helpful. All right, but you guys have a blessed night. Thank you. As I always like to say, always remember to live to love freely. Until next time. All right. Bye, folks. Bye.